get started in a few minutes, so just find their seats.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Hey, what's up? We're going to get started in like a few minutes, so if you want to find a seat up here, you can. And if you need an extra chair, just let us know. There's more chairs back there we can pull up. Yeah.
Think that this is going to work on my computer or no?
Are you going to try it on yours?
I need to log into my Google, though. Which is okay.
You guys go back to talking for a second.
Let me... It's annoying, but...
If you have to log in your Google and then like sign out, don't worry.
Ja, jullie. David, ik shoot. Damn it, nu. Good. And they also have office hours. Say, okay, are these hours 10?
Wait. Try another way.
How's it going? Doing well. So do you want to use this computer or like this laptop or this one?
Huh? I like how I forgot my password.
And right, in this meeting. Also, we need to rescue.
Shot the gun. I shot the gun too fast, bro. We weren't ready.
Three, then picking. He's us, there's kind of.
All right.
All right, we're in. Wait. You might have to do the turn on and off again.
You think so?
Turn on and turn it back on.
It's nice. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, do you wanna? Here you go.
Right.
We just came back and forth through that, so.
Testing.
You want to do the claps again?
What? Yeah, let's do the clap then.
All right. Hey, Dakota. All right, we're good now. Yeah. All right, good. We did. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to Applied AI Live, the first one ever.
Woo!
And we're here at Antler's HQ. And it is one of the most welcoming spaces for the tech community that actually builds amazing things. And so we're so excited that they partnered with us on this launch event. It's a great space. I first had my experience at the Antler HQ doing a hackathon with the AITX community. AITX community is the foremost builder community in the Austin area, expanding quickly. We're going to get to that shortly. But Travis and I, who's about to come to the event in a couple hours, will just share just how excited we are about these founding partners. Some quick housekeeping. Restrooms are down the hall. You go out in the wooden door, and it's 243 for men, and what is it for women?
I don't know.
It's 251.
Yeah.
I think. And tonight runs from now until about 8 o'clock. And we'll have talks, a live architecture session with the one and only Rostam. We'll do a little introduction shortly. And my name is Gary Sheng. I'm an applied AI engineer that is excited about this amazing opportunity that we have, where we have all this technology that all of us are trying to figure out how to apply that to better our lives and better society. Let's talk about why we're starting this. So it's actually very easy to explain why we're doing this. We need a community in Austin to help businesses level up with AI. And so we have a lot of great engineers here in the room that I know, like many of you, I can play with personal automations all day, but the intersection of all the business and industry in Austin and Texas, plus this engineering talent, makes for so much win-win opportunity. And so we want to be the watering hole to connect business owners with this amazing engineering talent. So if you're building, deploying AI, this is the place for you, right? Quickly, the bottleneck isn't innovation. The innovation is happening faster than any of us can keep up with. What we need is people that are helping the millions of businesses in America actually apply it to save money, grow, all the above. The bottleneck is implementation. This is really personal to me. You don't need to train models to matter. I'm not going to find myself in a research technical staff role at Anthropic anytime soon. But there's a lot of people that are going to do really well in this moment. And that includes software developers, it includes data scientists, it includes domain experts that really know about how to deliver great services and products for a particular industry, that may want to upskill in AI or get help from someone that can help them build to turn their company into an AI-first company. And new grads. If you're a new grad here, it's an amazing time to be alive. It's very different than tech hiring was 5-10 years ago, but that's not a bad thing if you have the right community around you. Oh, hibernate. Mark Cuban went viral a few weeks ago when he was like, basically every job that any new grad is going to want is basically an applied AI engineer role. So learn how to apply this technology and you'll do really well. We all know that it's incredibly hard. I was talking to this gentleman over here, just things are moving so fast. You may get hired to help your friend apply AI, and you may feel like you're making it up. The good thing is that we're all making it up. But it's so helpful to have friends in the room to compare notes with. We want to help you get your first dollars in applied AI. I think a lot of people will do really well this year, and just getting a little nudge to get in this space is a lot of what a lot of you need. For me, this matters a lot. And this, young people are looking for hope today, and what people are talking about endlessly is the job loss that's going to happen with AI. Well, what about the job creation and the job that you create for yourselves? And so that's a lot of what we're here for. Do you want to talk a little bit more about Antler?
Yeah, so I don't work at Antler, but my co-founder of AITX does, Jake O'Shea. He's not in town this week. But Antler is a global VC firm, so they have an office in Austin, New York City. They opened one up in San Francisco. And I think there's a few more. I can't remember them all. The one thing that I did want to mention, though, is that this co-working space is open to people who are building things. So, you don't have to pay anything. You want to come in and co-work. We haven't really had an issue with capacity yet, so I would highly recommend taking advantage of it. Yeah.
Awesome. And then our founding sponsor is OpenTeams. that is making infrastructure for sovereign AI deployment. Thank you so much for making Applied AI Live possible. They're building an amazing sovereign AI command center called Nabari. This gentleman over here, do you want to say a few words?
Folks, first disclaimer, I am not Travis Alcorn, okay? He will be coming a little bit later. He just flew back from the World Economic Forum in Davos, so, and he lives in Dripping Springs, so, traffic. He'll be here. My name's Davos. I'm the CTO at OpenTeams. I run the research and engineering teams there. I'm a UT grad from here. Actually, I'll be emailing because I have to talk at UT late tonight. But I have been involved in the open source scientific computing, movement since about 2007. We used to call it scientific computing before everyone started calling it AI. Okay. One of the things we've seen recently is with the push to AI, a lot of the big companies are forgetting their open source roots and the open source software that all of this is built on. And we're even seeing it with big companies removing sponsorships for open source conferences and things like that. So Travis's passion, he has two passions. I've known him since about 2006 or something. He has two passions. One is we need to build technology in the open so it can benefit everyone, and it shouldn't be controlled by one or two companies or one or two people. The second thing is the people who are building should have part of the economic gain. And the economic gain from AI, this gets back to what we were saying, shouldn't be focused in a couple of big companies. We are building tools and frameworks, completely open source, that we hope will enable all of you to move fast and do amazing things with AI. More about that, you can talk to me or talk to other people at OpenTeams about what we're doing there. But the hope is it's a community, it's open source tools, it's an ecosystem that we can all be in together. And I'll put one more thing. I'm actually going to be, tonight at midnight, I'm talking to some of the governments in East Africa who have a complete misunderstanding of what they need to do AI. And they think they need to train their own models. And we're going to be saying, no, there's a lot of stuff you can do before you train your own models.
Well said. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to ask, how many of you have heard of or played with Claude with the W? That's now called Moltbot. How many of you? Okay, so I think that a lot of why I got excited, and I'm sure a lot of you did as well, is because you get to see just how much the thoughtful assembly of context that matters to you, how much smarter your AI agents can get. So what OpenTeams is doing with Nabari, it's imagine you do this at an organizational level. How do you own your data, assemble it in the right way, but also make it really secure, and make it your command center, where AI agents are your actually primary scalable workforce. So a lot more to come on that. It's very exciting. And Open Technology Incubator is part of that whole ecosystem. And it has incubated a lot of amazing companies, and excited that they are sponsoring as well. AITX. Now you know you got to run.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so AITX community, we've been around for almost 3 years for AI engineers and entrepreneurs. Started in the Austin area, and we've recently expanded to Houston, I believe it was 6 months ago. So we do monthly meetups, hackathons, workshops, dinners, things like that. That QR code is for our newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter. It's the best way to stay in touch with all the updates. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see everybody here for this event.
And my goal will be what? Yes. Here, let me get there. Sweet. Okay, so we're just about to wrap up the opening remarks. We're going to get to a live architecture session with our star right here, Rostam. And then, like we said, Travis Oliphant, creator of NumPy, is going to give some remarks about why he's so excited about this moment. And then we'll have just some open networking time. All right, so let me tell you a little bit of Rostam. So does anyone know what Gauntlet AI is, by any chance? Okay. So now, at this point now, several hundred of us have been lucky to have gone through a very intensive AI engineering bootcamp. Now we're on their fourth cohort. Rostam was in the founding cohort with me. After graduating, he has worked on several major consulting projects. He's going to talk about one of them in detail today. And he's also going to be doing a live architecture session with my business owner friend, Ien, right here. So we're going to see what it's like to think about how to apply AI live, right? That's where the name comes from. Lucky to have done a hackathon with him, AITX hackathon, where we won the grand prize. And yeah, let's get on with this, shall we? You want to see if plugging in works?
Yeah.
Cool.
Isn't this one? No, it's this one.
Let's try this one. Oh, it's over here. Cool. I may need to turn it on and off. Do you know where the... No, it's fine.
See if that works.
This will turn it on and off. Choose to mirror or extend display from the... That's on your end, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I was going to ask if there's any engineers here. Okay. How's it going, everyone? My name is Rostam. Thank you, Gary, for the intro. I did go through Gauntlet. I'm going to be talking to you today about my journey from being an engineer to being a contractor. Kind of like tips and tricks of what I learned along the way, and then walking you guys through a case study.
Here, let me clip this on, by the way.
Cool. So I was a traditional engineer writing code with my hands for the past 6 years. And then I found Gauntlet AI in January, this past January, and decided to join. It's a 3-month intensive boot camp. It's about 100 hours a week. What you put in is what you get out of it. And on the other side of it, you get a guaranteed $200,000 job building AI for companies. So I went through that, and what it teaches you by doing that is it teaches you how to prompt properly and break down your thoughts into like smaller prompts so that you can achieve the goal of building whatever it is you're building. So what we did was we built like Slack in a week, or we built Zendesk in a week. You have to break down the features. Okay, I need real-time notifications. I need settings. I need direct messages versus thread messages. I need workspaces, et cetera. So it really teaches you how to think through the problem and then generate prompts. The current stack that I work in is LangGraph, and then I use also Vercel AI SDK. And then for my database layer, I do PG Vector, and I write in TypeScript. And so right now, I am working at an applied AI research lab, and they kind of let us free and explore and build, break, and then rebuild.
I can advance the slides.
Okay. Cool. So after I graduated from Gauntlet, I worked for a company, solved their biggest problem, and then I decided, hey, I want to go into contracting because this is fun, and I want to continue doing this for companies because they really see a benefit in what you're doing. And so I'm walking you through the whole entire, from start to finish, of what I do. So first of all, I want to say that my win rate is only because, like, my success in getting clients is only because of my friends and my community. They refer me out, and so when I go into that meeting, they have some kind of trust that's built, but that doesn't mean that it stops there. I need to go in prepared for the meeting. So this is my pregame strategy. So for instance, I had a cancer research company reach out to me, reach out to a friend, and then I got the contract. And so when I went to the meeting, I didn't know anything about cancer or cancer research. And so what I needed to do is do a deep dive into their specific business. So that means go on their website, research them. Who are their customers? What is their value prop? You just have to basically break down, if I were the business of the owner or the business owner, how does that business look? And then you have to align your mindset with the client. So like, again, put yourself in their shoes so that, yeah, when you walk in the meeting, you feel one with the person you're talking to. And then alignment, when you actually have that conversation, you can explain that to them. And you're building a sense of trust with them from the get-go. So when I'm in that first meeting, basically it's like they bring me an idea of AI, or they're like, I have no idea where to start. So you're like, okay, let's break this down. Let me ask you a bunch of questions in order to understand what it is that you actually want. Like you might bring me an idea, but then we explore, and that's not what's going to bring you the most value as a business. So you have to ask them, like, okay, what do you spend your most time on? What are your engineers working on the most? What is your support team working on the most? So you have to gather that information and really just ask them a bunch of questions. And so as you're asking them the questions, what you need to keep in mind is like, how am I architecting this? Or at the end of the conversation, how am I going to architect this? So you're guiding the conversation into creating a diagram in your mind to then present to them at the end. That's the goal. So yeah, you have to stay up to date with the latest research. So every day I wake up, I read the white papers for the day, the top 3, and then see if they're applicable to anything that I'm doing so that I can introduce it in my projects. Or when I walk into another meeting, then I'm like, all right, I know what I'm talking about. I know I can implement this in there, and so then I can recommend that to the client. And then you go to GitHub or trending repositories, see like what is going on over there, and then how can I apply it to my business as well. And yeah, so when you're doing all this, the outcome of it is that you're aligning with the person, you're building the trust with them, and you sound like you know what you're doing, and hopefully you do. Okay. So you're having this conversation with them, you're breaking down the pieces, you're exploring, you're architecting the solution in your brain. Now you need to give them the architecture, and you need to explain every piece of it. So what I do is I give it all up front to them. I give them the architecture, I break down every piece to them, I give them everything. They can go with another person, but since I've built the trust with them, and they know I know what I'm talking about, and I kind of understand their business, they feel like I don't know, I get the client a lot of the time. And so what does that mean? That means like if you're using a RAG database, you don't say RAG. You say retrieval augmented generation. And then you explain to them, how does that work? Okay, it takes text and turns it into numbers. And then you do similarity search on that. Like you really just have to break it down for the client so that they feel comfortable giving you that contract. And then afterwards, what I do is I give them the contract on a weekly basis. So here's what I'm doing week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Here are my deliverables. Here's the technology that I'm using. Here's the subscriptions you're going to need to pay for. Here's the API costs, et cetera. So you have to be completely transparent with them. Now, my form of communication is Slack. You guys can use Discord too, but a lot of people are on Slack nowadays. I don't like Microsoft Teams. And so what that does is I have direct communication to the stakeholder. So that means that I'm updating them every single day on what I'm achieving, and that if I have any questions, I literally can ask it there, and they'll get back to me immediately. So it's direct communication is important because, as we all know, building with AI is fast, and you need that repetitive, agile cycle. And then, yeah, momentum. Get the app in their hands as fast as possible. So build your MVP, and then get it to them. Make sure it works first, obviously, and then iterate, and build. Okay. So this was one of my clients. They're a financial company. I can't talk at a low level about them, but they're in the Web3 space, and they came to me because they had a lot of tickets that were coming through in HubSpot, and they wanted to reduce these because it's taking their support staff a long time. So that was their biggest time sink. That's what I explored with them. And so the success metrics that I defined with them was ticket deflection, customer satisfaction scores, response times, and then costs. This was all outlined when I sent them the contract. So here's the objective. Guide users through an onboarding process, providing step-by-step instructions, answering any questions they have. They have a Web3 education. So people from Web 2 come to Web 3. They have questions. you have to be able to answer that within the chat system. And then product support, so they have an API, and you need to be able to support on a technical level as well. And then, yeah, reduce tickets. So then next slide. Okay, so this is the overview. I'll get to the diagram in a second, but did a multi-agent architecture. So at the top level, it's a sorting agent, and then it goes into specialized agents, and then it goes to another agent which will handle the HubSpot ticket creation with the conversation history and summary. And so this is the classifier, and then it basically goes to the sub-agents. I chose this because it's easier to test each individual agent because they're very siloed. They have a specific purpose to them. And then, yeah, so we used RAG. I like Quadrant because they're open source. And then we have BM25 re-ranker. Semantic caching, I'll talk about that in a little bit when I get the architecture going. Observability, huge. Set up Langsmith. That also does like annotations, that does cost breakdowns, that does like, it gives you visibility in everything in the stack. And then HubSpot, obviously, for the ticketing. And then they had mobile as well as web. So that was like their stack. Okay, so as I was saying before, we have the intent router. Testing and evaluating is the most important thing in AI development. I can't say that enough. So making sure that you're testing each piece of this with not just the happy path, but also the sad path, and then also like ambiguous questions or ambiguous things. So you can't just expect users to answer or ask questions in a specific way. You have to get variations to then test your system to see if it'll scale. So we have this intent router. That basically says, okay, is this a technical issue? Is it a general question? Or is it complex or unknown? If it's complex, unknown, let's go ahead and create the ticket into HubSpot. If it is a general question, let's go ahead and go to the vector database and then do a similarity search, pull in context. There's a lot into this, right? Like you can optimize this, and then you want to, for the technical issues, you want to optimize this. So what dimensions are you using? Have you tested multiple dimensions? How are you chunking? What's your chunking strategy? What's your reclassification strategy? Like, there are so many pieces within just this that you need to consider and optimize for. RAG is crazy. And then for the network tools, that's their internal tooling. So you just need to assess if the agent can actually use the network tools, the correct ones. Categorically, it needs to figure out, like, okay, I need to use this one for this question to be able to answer it. Also, on the intent router, you need ambiguous statements to basically test, okay, if it's ambiguous, does it go to complex, or should we also add it to general questions? So the cool thing about this is, as I said in the beginning, it is to reduce HubSpot tickets. So what I came up with is they have a trove of data. They know what is potentially missing that's hiding in the data. So what we need to do is we need to go into HubSpot, get all of that, those tickets and the conversations and how it got resolved, and then determine where is the problem. Like, is it the technical documentation that's not clear? Is it that people, like, we don't have a knowledge base that covers all the questions that people would ask? So you have to make data-driven decisions and using their tickets. And so that's what we did. And then what we did was we updated their internal knowledge base as well as their technical docs, and then we used Redis as a warm-up cache. So based on all the questions that were asked and we didn't fill the gap for, we would generate a set of 100 questions that people could potentially ask and turn into vectors. And then whenever a query came in, it would run against Redis to check the similarity. And if it hit that, it would tally it as being hit, and then it would return the answer within a second. So it's a way to bypass going through this whole entire system in the beginning. And so then at the end of the day, what it did was it took the top 10 or 15 questions that were asked, it kept those in Redis, and then it would regenerate the questions. So you're basically trying to figure out what are the categories of questions that people are asking, and then warm up your system, and then feed that back into the loop of updating your knowledge base or updating your technical docs. Yeah, so this is kind of what I touched on before, which is like the why. They had a trove of data. We need to use that data and leverage it to then update their system. So it's like this feedback loop that you need to continually update and improve the system. It's a system as a whole. That's kind of how you have to think about it. And how do you continually improve that over time? So this was a 3-month contract, part-time at $200 an hour. It was built to handle 1,000 concurrent users. They're scaling it up to 500,000 users, and I only needed 3 nines of reliability or uptime. So in summary, I think that it's important to note that you need to be agile in today's world. You need to iterate extremely quickly, get it in their hands, and then iterate on your solutions really fast so that you can align and you don't go too far off the beaten path. And as things change and as AI is evolving, you always need to be improving your process and implementing the latest. So why you shouldn't be an applied AI engineer. You have an ego. If you think that you're the best, it's probably not going to work out for you because you're not. If you're not open-minded and don't welcome ideas that could be better than yours, I want to be surrounded by people smarter than me because I like feeling dumb. I like feeling like I have a way to grow. So like I'm always learning. Again, reading white papers, going to GitHub repositories, huge leg up. If you hate reading white papers, probably not an applied AI engineer. Continue to grow, and then if you code manually 100% of the time, it's probably not your thing. And then you fear letting go. Yeah, and so that's my whole process from start to finish, and how I think about approaching like contracts.
So we're trying to make this super is this working? No, it's not. It's working. Sort of.
There we go. Yeah.
We're trying to make this super practical, grounded, with real people making real money with applied AI engineering, and real people that you can contact. Right? Rostam lives just down the street. He's going to be a really close friend of this community, and he's already helped a lot of people get into this field as well, so we're super grateful for that. Maybe we'll do like 2 questions that are like at the tip top of someone's mind right now, and then we're going to go to the live architecture, because I know you guys want to see that. Anyone have any question that's like burning right now? I guess it's not working. All right. Just loud. Yeah.
So why Langsmith?
Langsmith? Yeah.
On your stack? Yeah, Langsmith. Why?
It's just personal preference. There's a lot of good frameworks out there. There's Mashra, there's AI SDK, there's a lot out there. But observability, because that's Langsmith, and that's like, I mean, you can use OTel, but Langsmith has great observability. It's just something that I chose early on, and I started with.
Are you using any framework to build your own agents?
Yeah, so Vercel AI SDK, and then I've gotten into Google ADK and played around with it. So they all kind of have similarities. I've done DSPy as well. Yeah, it's really AI SDK. It depends on what also the client wants. If they have a specific framework that they're already working in, I have to use that. And so it's really just a personal preference.
You had a question?
Yeah. With the AI industry being as bleeding edge as it is, there's new things coming out every hour on the hour. How do you sift through the fluff? You saying you read white papers every day. How do you find the most valuable nuggets information when doing this research? Because I thought myself spending a lot of time reading things that were pointless 2 days later, or implementing something that essentially will become outdated within a week.
Yeah, it's hard. Sifting through, it's like, what are you working on? I go through the top like 3 to 5 papers personally, just because I don't have time to go through everything. And then, honestly, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, it's like a good avenue to get information, because whatever's trending that week, it's usually something you should be looking at. GitHub repositories tells you like a direction, so you can kind of say, is it in the realm of what I'm doing or what I want to do, or like is it useful or helpful for me, and sift through it, but I don't have a systematic way of doing it. I could build an agent to then just go ahead and scrape it all every day and write me a report like that. That's in the future. We have another question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question for now.
So you talked about creating an MVP for your as a contractor. Do you also do support, like long-term support or work upkeep, or do you? Because a lot of the HANA make something that's special and then free one how to make a new solution. So do you maintain?
It depends on the client. So if they have an engineering team, I will give a presentation and teach people how I built it and what the components are. Like for RAG, what does a top K value mean? You know, how do you adjust things to get accuracy up? Like what are the levers? And once I give that to them, they maintain the project. I don't do ongoing support usually.
Okay, so there's one part that about you training that you can deliver.
Deliver, yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do is do a little introduction. Ien, do you want to come over here? You can sit down.
Gary.
Charles, to begin about 20 minutes.
Okay, sweet. So super excited to have Ien here. Ien is one of the best filmmaker, producer type people in the world. Extremely soulful guy that has been very open-minded though about how can AI be useful for the 2.0 version of his production company, for documentaries, etc. And do you want to talk about just why you're open and curious and what you're looking from this session?
Thanks for having me, first of all. I'm a lifelong filmmaker from childhood, interested in utilizing stories to catalyze inner formation and kind of inner evolution and challenge of people's perspective and empowering them. The reason I'm interested in AI, well, Steve Jobs said the computer's a bicycle for the mind. I thought that was a fantastic analogy. And I think there's a proper utilization of AI where it's not replacing the soul and spirit of the craft that comes from the human heart. But what I'm really excited for in filmmaking, for example, is now like a 14-year-old in the middle of Kansas can make Lord of the Rings. And it's going to be a lot lower budget. And you're going to be able to express ideas to an extent that has never been possible before. And also, I think there's a remarkable possibility to connect the right people with each other. And just to give some context of my own perspective now of how I go about media. So I used to be the head creative of Jubilee, where the reason I left is over time it kind of became clickbait.
What's Jubilee?
Jubilee is a YouTube channel that was designed to spark conversations about the most prominent, polarizing, contentious issues today to bring people together to actually catalyze empathy. Unfortunately, over time, the algorithms and big tech have created these platforms that optimize rage bait. And so as the company grows and scales, companies are incentivized to create things that are more controversial, polarizing, thus leading to just more rage bait, essentially. So my approach now is not to scale a large company where it's hard to protect the soul, but it's actually to maintain a small team and bring people in as needed per project. So how do we craft from soul and spirit, but how do we use AI to maximize what we're able to express, right? And so with the depth of understanding of storytelling, with depth of human understanding, we can guide AI to create things that are very soulful, not to outsource the creativity, but to enhance the ideas that we have within ourselves already. And so I think, just for context, some pain points in the business right now is, well, the most top of level, it's like, the busy work thing. So every shoot we have to get release forms, location forms, W-9s, payroll. There's these admin things. A lot of it is also about if we've completed a project, we want to find ways to own our audience and distribution. We don't want to rely on social media and just getting views all the time because we don't own that audience. So we want to have relationships with institutions, universities, libraries, nonprofits, whatever place that has audiences that are value aligned with the kinds of stories we want to tell. We're not interested in reaching 1 million people who just walk away after we get their eyeballs. We want to reach just the 1,000 people that resonate deeply with the kind of films that we're making. So we're not about broadcasting, we're about deep casting. So for example, the latest film we finished is about a grief care farm in Arizona where 6 people who've encountered traumatic grief are there for a workshop to overcome their grieving of a lost loved one. And so we want to find those people who specifically resonate with this story. So, there's a nonprofit in New York that we're working with who, people who've experienced traumatic loss, right, that we can share this film with. And so we want to be able to connect with these people. We want to automate a lot of the non-soulful work. And then we also want to maintain a high-touch premium experience for our collaborators, partners, patrons, clients, where proposal decks, pitch decks, updates for patrons, instead of just sending an email. How do we make it look nice, right? So how do we spend less time on the aesthetic design and things like this? And so these are a couple applications that I can think of top of mind, but
Awesome.
yeah.
And so you two had a chance to briefly talk about that as well, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, so what we're going to do here, and if you have questions during this session that we're going to get to in the Q&A part, feel free to scan this. You can ask a question in those upload feature as well. And we're going to do a little fun thing where we get through as many challenges as we can in 30 minutes, Rostam. So we'll
I don't even know what
leave
this
it to. All right. So, the QR. There's 5 challenges here. Let's do some whiteboarding, guys. So, you want to start with how you'd help him with the busy work, counting, admin. You feel free to use that whiteboard.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know this was a thing, so I'm being thrown into it. Let's go. Okay, so you said accounting expense classification automation. So can you explain to me a little bit more what your current process is?
Very simple. On wave accounting, we have to find a way to accurately classify expenses for tax purposes. So classifying what expenses go to what project, if it's a meal or if it's a prop or if it's a travel, things like this. And right now it's done manually a lot, either by a virtual assistant or myself or a team member, and it's just busy work.
Okay, and so these expenses are on your credit card statement. So you're basically matching up, okay, this was the charge, this is what it was for, and this is how it's going to be categorized so that your accountant can file it properly.
Right, as well as payroll for freelancers and wire transfers to vendors.
Oh, no. Payroll, expense. Okay, and so do you use any software today?
Gusto for freelance payroll, just wire transfers from the actual bank, depending on the vendor, and then credit cards.
Okay. And so can you tell me, let's see, so is this stored in like an Excel file right now where you're consolidating everything, or how does it look now?
So one template document we have, for example, is an Excel sheet that the producer lists every expense and they manually categorize what an expense is for the shoot. So they have to record every expense in pre-production, production, and post-production. And then we can have a VA transfer that to Wave and then categorize the expenses on Wave.
Okay. That seems pretty straightforward. So what you would do, I don't know if Gusto has a connector like an OAuth, or yeah, we would have to get OAuth into Gusto, or we can set something up on the platform where you basically upload a document with your Gusto monthly statement. You have your wire transfers from your bank, and then you have your credit card from wherever your bank is to. And then we're consolidating into one platform, and then you probably have like a date. We have a expense description, and then you have the dollar amount. And so what we need to do is we need to categorize that by project. So when you have a project, do you have a list of everything that you're expecting to spend?
There is a preliminary budget by the producer, and then there's an actual budget. The preliminary budget is just like, $1,000 for props. But during the course of production, our producer will spend specific amounts on specific items, and then there will be the actual amount after the production of what was bought for how much.
Do you have multiple productions going on at the same time?
We do.
That makes it even more difficult.
Sometimes we don't. Depends on the time.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that I'm thinking is it's difficult because in real time you need to be able to categorize what project that expense goes to instead of consolidating it at the end of the month, because I'm assuming that some of the errors happen because it's been so long since they purchased it, they don't remember what project it was for. So with something more in real time, like when they make a purchase, assuming we can OAuth in, which will be interesting, or they take a picture of it and they're able to assign it on a mobile app, because mostly it's made on the go. And a desktop app, we can make a desktop app too, right?
I mean, it'd be amazing if a producer in real time just like, I don't know, takes a picture of the receipt and it automatically classifies and,
Per project.
Yeah, per project, yeah.
Because, I know that there are services, like I think Gusto has it, where you can take a picture and it'll upload to that specific transaction, but I don't know if they don't classify it obviously by project. You have to do that manually.
Or we could have separate production cards per project as well.
That makes it a lot easier because then you just take the picture and you associate it to it. This is interesting. I don't think this is a automation piece, so I'm going to. I feel like that's more of like a functionality within Gusto that we could probably explore and then determine if we need to build something. So we're going to move on to number 2. Production workflow automation, release forms, contractors, onboarding, W9. So again, talk to me about how you currently do things.
Within Google Workspace, like we have contracts that we send out for signatures, for deal memos, for location releases, casting releases, and we have a producer send it out manually where, fill in the blank, signature here, send it out. And we have an Excel sheet keeping track of every cast member, crew member, and what forms they've signed or not signed, who still needs to sign, how much they're owed, all the information of what people need for a production pretty much.
Okay.
But there's standard things that we need from everyone per production. Yeah.
Okay. And so do you find that they're having to follow up multiple times to see, to get that signature?
Depending on the person. Yeah, some people are laggards. Some people sign them right away.
Okay. Dang it, Carl. Okay. Interesting. Because that's like a reminder service. So you would basically, you could send the email through an app, and then it automatically reminds before the production date and kind of sends like a updated email draft. So you could connect that to an email client. Let's see what is the biggest value add. Talk to me about finding mission and aligned distribution partner. We're going to go through all of these, and then we're going to figure out which one gives you the best ROI. So finding mission aligned distribution partners and patrons.
So, for example, we just completed the grief film. It's a 30-minute short film about traumatic grief and participants participating like a healing grief workshop. So we want to find, nonprofits related to grief or traumatic loss or healing from grieving. Any related entities, institutions, cultural leaders that we can share the film with. Preferably like credible institutions where we'd be able to go and form a relationship and show it with their audience, to develop relationships with these places for potential future work as well with these institutions.
Okay. So you're relationship building and you're getting distribution as well. Mm-hmm. So trying to find people that would consume and then also people that would support future process. So it's like, it sounds like a CRM where you would go out and scout based on what you're trying to do. It would go out and scout and find people that are aligned and then bring them into the database. And then you would score them based on some rubric or metric, like weighted metric, to say, okay, these scored well and this, and it gives you either 0 to 100 or A to F, whichever one you want, so that you can quickly filter and then see. And then you need it based on topic. So I'm assuming that grief is one of them. You're going to have like another one, another topic that you're going to create a film about. Does that sound in line with what you were thinking for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So every project is a different theme, and there's also different ways to approach the theme. So for example, this was shot in Arizona. So there's a possibility that we could reach out to nearby Arizona universities, for example, or people who are studying grief, for example. So it's like,
Gary.
you know, a lot of times I use AI as like a brainstorming partner of, how else can we splice this and who else can we reach out to? So maybe I don't know if there's a way to automate and bring up more ideas of potential partnerships to scour and look for people who have threads, you know, they're interested in some way on our grief film. But this applies to every part of the process. It doesn't have to apply after we've made a film. We could be looking for patrons for a film we haven't made, and we already have the topic in mind, and we want to reach out to people who are interested in investing in, you know, a film about grief or something like that. So, yeah. But it's a very core part of the business is relationship building. So I think of this as just finding a lot of kind of value-aligned, deeply mission-aligned people to connect with. Because a lot of our business also doesn't come from like mass cold email outreach. It's very much from like referrals or attending events and interacting with people. So it's the core important part of it is finding value-aligned people that value the kind of stories that we create naturally.
So, okay, so would a tool like a CRM where it finds you and then classifies and then gathers information and then stores that about the user so that next time you have a meeting, you know pieces about them, it has some kind of memory about them, gives you like a brief, would you find that useful?
That'd be very useful. Like if before going into a meeting, the last time we met with this institution was 2 years ago. So if I could get a refresher about what we talked about, or, you know, little things that are reminders of their daughter's birthday or something, you know, like that'd be amazing.
And so are you communicating via Gmail or email?
Yeah,
typically?
Gmail, yeah.
Okay. This is interesting because we can build a CRM based on your Gmail history, so you can OAuth into it, allow access to get emails. It can filter through, and then it can do deep research on that person, and it can search the internet for them. There's services that scrape LinkedIn because that's against their policies. Are these people on X or any other social media platforms?
I think a lot of them are on LinkedIn.
Okay.
It depends on the person. I'm not personally on X very much. Not on Instagram. LinkedIn's probably where I am the most and where I see most people are, I think, yeah.
Okay. So the way that I'm seeing it is, what we'll do is we'll use Gmail to import into our CRM. And that CRM, it's going to be a per user basis. It'll extract out. We'll extract out key pieces of memory. We'll store it. We have to figure out the structure of the data that we want to extrapolate out. So if it's like personal, if it's professional, what was last talked about, the theme, the business. I imagine these would be all kind of like pieces that you would want to remember about previous conversations with someone.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And then it will go out and search for supplemental information. And so what would be interesting is if there's a way for you to like put in, I'm going to have a conversation about this, and it finds you and pull up relevant information that ties the user to that in some meaningful way. We can get to that later on, but I think step one would be building the CRM to import. So it would have like your name of the person. It would have then like their industry. It would have title, and then it would have like memories. And this is extracted. So it would be like what's interesting is it should continually pull from Gmail. So we'll have to set up some kind of webhook from Gmail to the CRM. And we need to lock that down security-wise so it only gets certain permissions. And then we'll do a simple LLM call to extract out and then store in an object and store that in the database for you to quickly search. We can throw that through in a RAG database with a summarization on it so it can pull out the text so that you can ask questions to the CRM to say, hey, what was my last conversation with so-and-so, and it'd pull out the relevant info. We would need to store, so for RAG, you would want to store time series data so that it can get the latest and re-rank. Yeah, I mean, I would use Quadrant because I love Quadrant. Shout out. Also, Pinecone's pretty dope. And then we want some kind of chat function.
All right, we're going to try this. Obviously, this event format is the first we've ever done it. Let's try a live question from the audience right now for Rostam. So when you say CRM, are you recommending HubSpot or something, Cloud, Agentic, Moltbot, Nunnery? What would the trade-offs be?
I was thinking about building it myself. It's not that difficult to build. It's probably like a one-shot prompt that you can build a CRM. It's in the training data, knows how to build it. You can probably get it done in like half an hour to an hour. And this way you own the whole stack. So you don't have to deal with APIs. You don't have to deal with access. You just deal with it all yourself. Besides this whole Gmail webhook permission stuff, that you need to like lock down, but I just build it myself. Because yeah, I have full control over everything instead of relying on HubSpot and their ecosystem.
And obviously, before agentic coding, which is like now the nice mustache way of saying live coding, that probably wouldn't have been your first answer, right?
Yeah, if I was writing this by hand, it would take me weeks. So I would have went with HubSpot or some other CRM provider. Yeah. Okay. And then we want chat functionality. So we need chat to Quadrant. Extract out memories through Gmail. Okay, so now we want to basically set up a system that will also enhance the data that we currently have about the person. So we'll attach internet search. We'll attach some kind of LinkedIn scraper. We'll also attach X scraper. It's not against their terms and conditions, but there are services out there that provide it.
Like what?
I will not say any names. What else? I think internet search, because they're going to have a website, right? There's going to be news pieces about them because potentially these are, like they're associated to an organization at a high level. So maybe some information about the organization as well, some supplemental information, not just about the user, but like maybe even their work history, what they've worked on. You can get that through LinkedIn potentially or the news search. And then we'll have to extract out information from each one of these and figure out what the best way to do that is. Now, typically, I don't tell them exactly like what I'm going to pull out because I don't necessarily know what it's going to pull. So I'll tell them what I plan on doing, like internet search, LinkedIn, X. And then as we go, I'll figure it out. Depending on what gets returned back, I'll be like, oh, this is interesting information. Let's go ahead and pull that out. Oh, I didn't think about this key of potentially like their professional background, whatever. Let's go ahead and include that. And so I would say these are like your main pieces that you would be pulling in. Does that, I feel like that brings value.
So with the goal being to get our film out to as many value-aligned collaborators, partners, distributors, institutions as possible, is this inclusive of keeping track of new posts on X, LinkedIn, these places? It's like scouring that for keywords and themes that we could monitor?
So this is more on the investment relationship building side of things.
Got it.
This isn't
Talking
on
with
the, I think you call them patrons, or would patrons be categorized?
clients,
in that?
patrons, collaborators, partners.
Yeah. I think on that side, that I could give you a. So on Twitter, you can search and you can put in certain keywords like and symbols, etc., with quotations and parentheses. I don't know how it works, but you can search for specific keywords. And so what we could build really quickly into this as a side thing is you put in what your film is about. Let's say grief. Don't mind my doctor scribbles. So grief, and then that would basically construct a search parameter, and then that would go to X, search for it, and then you can do things like rank it by, what is it? How many likes they have. So like how virality.
Can you rank it by our own metric of mission alignment?
You know, I would have to see the scraper output in order to see what can be pulled. If we can pull the text, I would say yes. And then if we have access to get users, like their actual posts, we can scrape. If they can give us a top like 50 or 100, we can then analyze the text on there to see if it's value aligned, as long as you put your value into the system when you're searching for it. Yes, that is something that a tool could use. That's totally different, I feel like, than the CRM, but it's also useful to use. So that would be an add-on to this. But yes, it would pull the text and then it would basically see if they're aligned. It could also do the search as well for that specific person that has virality, et cetera. LinkedIn scraper in order to see if they post on other things that are more value aligned, or there's articles that show value alignment. So, yeah.
So hypothetically, it's possible to provide as much context per project and what the theme is, the people, the locations, and then the AI or an agent or whatever could monitor, and then rank the highest value aligned people that we could reach out to.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways of doing that. It's like what I said earlier, which is you weight it by whatever category is most important to you in your metric evaluation. So like, I don't know, value is a rating of 9, and not posting negative things that go against it would be like lower on the tier. I don't know the exact example, but you get what I'm getting at. Like you would rank it based on what you value.
Our values.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
How you feeling about it? Good?
I feel all right. I feel like it's a solution. It's a solution. So what I would do is I would get this into his hand as fast as possible. So in the next 3 days, I would build some integration with Gmail, have it import, test that with my own Gmail account, extract out information, run this through an LLM. I would record this meeting, and then I would throw that through an LLM and ask, hey, what didn't I consider in this architecture? What did I not ask? And then what I also like to end with all my clients is is there anything I didn't ask that I should know? Because that opens up the door for them to be like, oh, and I also thought about this. Because in the heat of things, when I'm going through all this, they might not be thinking, they might be getting excited and being like, oh, that sounds awesome. But when you give them a second to breathe, then you're like, hey, what else should I be asking? It opens up the door for them to sit there and think and then give me a response that potentially could change the architecture of things. Because once we get going in a direction, we can change, obviously. It's super easy with AI. But we want to make sure we're aligned on what the expectation is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Gmail, is it a guy or is it just Spark by now?
So I know they have OAuth, and you can allow for, for instance, I do Google Drive access. You can allow for email. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would look this up. If not, I would just have him import all of his Gmail history and then figure out another solution. But it's typically you allow access to read their Gmail, like through OAuth? Okay, awesome.
Well, I know I lost some pretty low spot. Well, I feel like you did a pretty good job, so you gave a round of applause.
Don't steal my stuff.
And, you know, I really want to once again emphasize the power of community, because earlier today, you had to go right off what we have a friend in the Austin AI community. His name is Reed, and he has an awesome team that focuses exactly on finding your target customer, partner, etc. And so your business problems, you know, this is how they came about building their people finder tools. They had a successful applied AI project with a single person. They realized that other people have this problem. So let's say they're going to get a couple $1,000 to solve one company's people finding problem. They did it again. Eventually, as of last week, they offered a people finder service called Linked, Linkt, self-serve, right? So the process of going from making it work for one person in kind of a hacky way, but gets you to the aha moments, that's just part of the process of applied AI engineering, right? And also part of the process, ideally, is you're not just sitting alone in your apartment, you're going to these events, you're being like, hey y'all, I have a client that has a people finding problem. What are the tools out there, right? And if you can just plug in solutions into your new solution, right, that includes modules that other people have built already, you don't have to build that anymore, right? We have one more question for Rostam. What do we get to?
If building a CRM and other tools bespoke for clients, they are then at least conceptually responsible for their own code base, including maintenance, security, etc. Have you run any challenges with this? That's a good question. I don't normally build product. I build agentic systems, and they would be responsible for the code base still, and maintenance security, but they have their own dev teams that would take that and then run with it. I have one long-standing client where I am providing support on a monthly basis that's written into the contract for updating the system with anything that they want. Written in there, I have one update or two updates every 6 months that they're able to do. That's a new feature request. But typically, I'm not building for people who don't have engineering teams.
One more question.
Would you recommend charging based on the potential value your solution delivers, or more so by charging a fixed hourly rate?
You have experience with both, right?
Yeah.
Or a mix.
Yeah, I started doing like a equity play. So I will, if it's a big enough impact for a smaller business, I will take less of a pay and more of a equity piece of it. And then I will tack onto there the support as well onto that. It's with one client because I want to see them succeed. So I want to provide that ongoing support while not breaking their bank. But no, I don't do it based on the potential value. I just do a fixed hourly rate. Honestly, guys, I love what I do. It's dope. I get so much energy from it. I don't want to overcharge everyone $1,000 an hour. Like, I'm a reasonable dude, and like, I don't know, I like building stuff. So that's just me. I'm a little dude.
All right, thank you again, Austin.
Yeah, thank you.
So I want to just a few minutes with Ien about your experience here and any, because I know you think deeply about where humanity's going. We were talking earlier today. Just any final remarks before we let you go and we welcome Travis.
I just like thinking about the potential of, ever since I burned out in kind of the grind machine and typical media industry in 2020, I've thought a lot about what it looks like to sustainably tell stories without breaking the bank, with freedom. I'm kind of greedy in that way. I want to spend time with my friends, not break the bank, and have freedom and everything.
this excites me because I can essentially run like a one-man business and bring people in as needed, but it just enables more of a soulful life, basically. Like if I can spend less time like collecting W-9s from contractors and like, getting signatures and like AI can take care of all the non-soul stuff so that I can focus on creativity and art and dope things and express myself better. That makes me very stoked. And I wish that for everybody here and in the world. I think the mistake is to think that soul can be outsourced, Like I'll be on the metro and there's things like, does it take you a long time to make videos? Like outsource it to AI. And that's kind of like outsourcing dance. It's like, I like dancing. I like photography and making films. And maybe that doesn't work for some people who want to optimize for click-through rates and conversion rates for some products, and that's fine. That's that lane too. But my hope is that everyone here, myself, and there's a proper integration of AI that enhances soul rather than outsources it. And I think we've all experienced like when you feel like you're stuck in a job or a corporate place that's not mission aligned, it becomes really a drag. And so this is exciting because I think it allows more freedom for people to do what they want, how they want, with the people they want, and for me to potentially connect with value-aligned friends and to share. And it's a way to just participate and emerge in creation together. So, yeah.
Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. All right, the man, the myth. So Travis is just coming back from a set of exciting meetings in Europe. Earlier, he was at the World Economic Forum. 2 weeks gone. We're happy to have you back.
Just landed. So if I apologize if I look jet lagged.
I'm glad that I'm so glad you're here because we would not be here without you in a million senses of the word. I have multiple people here that were like, of course I'm going to be here because I owe my career to this man. For any of you that aren't aware, Travis is kind of a hero in the data science and AI community. He's built foundational open source libraries like NumPy and SciPy. Was incredibly supportive in forming the Python data community and has built some incredible companies like Anaconda. And he's building OpenTeams, Open Technology Incubator. And I just thought that, just let you speak about the applied AI opportunity that you see ahead. Give us a little bit of alpha from your conversations in Davos, in Amsterdam, etc. How's that?
Sure, yeah. So I just talked, right? How much time do we have? Because I can go on, so you better cut me off soon. Maybe tired. Yeah, great to be here. It is awesome to see so many folks. When Gary and I talked about the need and the opportunity for an applied AI society, it was clear. A couple of reasons, actually. One is there's a lot of videos. I don't actually myself watch TikTok or use it much, but I have people that were telling me there's a lot of videos out there talking about how AI is going to destroy jobs, AI is going to get rid of opportunity, and there's sort of a lot of people that are worried about that, right? At the same time, I see all these businesses are actually struggling to figure out what to even do with AI. And there's this opportunity, and then a lot of people, I think, there's a lot of money being spent to get you to think about AI a very particular way, a way that tends to pull your data to somebody else's model, right? That's basically the goal, is to build a massive, many people think that in the race to AGI, there's only going to be a few of them. Like somehow AI is a thing that's going to be discovered once, like there's one moon or something we all have to go to. That's not true. Actually, AI is a technology. It's a mathematical process. It's something that's been shared. In fact, if you go to the scientists who are sharing it, it's pretty freely shared. Information flows. I heard even Elon Musk this week at the World Economic Forum say that 1 year, he thinks the open models are only behind by 1 year. I've been saying they're about 6 months. That's about the mean time of information transfer between yeah, you're right, people are leading out of some of these models. But eventually that information of what they actually did, because it's not like they massively take leaps. They do iterative things that are pretty, once somebody goes, oh, that's what you did in that particular part of the descent curve that we're trying to figure out how to configure all these parameters that go into training a big model. And I witnessed this when I did some consulting for an AI company in Silicon Valley just a couple of years ago, how actually a team can build models. Now, all you hear don't necessarily have to build models. The point is, in fact, that's the thing, maybe 1 in 1,000 people is building models, 1 in 10,000 people is building models. That leaves 10,000 people to use the models to do something useful for others. And there are millions of companies in the world that need something useful done. I think the big thing, who's actually been to Davos? Anybody? I mean, my perception of Davos was actually incorrect. I thought it was just where only the billionaires and kind of snobs went and had nothing to say to them. I can tell you, yeah, a lot of billionaires and snobs go there, but there's a whole lot of other people that go there too, and there's just sort of conversation happening, people just trying to figure out what's going on in the world. And so a lot of other people go to try to improve the messaging of what happens there. And that's what, when I went last year and realized, oh, there's a big opportunity here. So we're actually making plans next year to put an open source house. They have houses in Davos. We're going to have an open source house there. There is an AI house. It's a little cheeky, actually. It's not. I would rather have an applied AI house. Maybe we can talk about that, Gary. Just because the conversation is still not rooted in what I consider to be the reality of where AI comes from. Then a lot of my conversations with people in Europe, of course, with the timing of things that are happening geopolitically, there's a lot of nervousness in Europe. A lot of people in Europe are basically ready to be on their own, let's say. They're trying to decouple from their dependency on the United States. And there's a lot of dependency on the United States, particularly when it comes to data centers. And a lot of people there believe that, oh, we're so far behind in AI. So actually, I messaged a few folks, and one person, the one reason I extended my trip another 2 days, because they wanted me to come to a conference in Brussels to explain this point that actually open source is the foundation of AI. A lot of people don't realize that. They think AI just came out of the minds of a few geniuses in Silicon Valley. Well, there were geniuses in Silicon Valley. There are geniuses everywhere. But it came about as on top of 40, 50 years of open source contribution from tens of thousands of other people. And many of those people were actually in Europe. So a lot of my conversation was talking to people in Europe, trying to figure out, wait, how do we get ahead? How do we do this? Now, there are if you're going to build a model that's serving everybody, you might have to buy a few tens of thousands of GPUs. But if you're building a model that's going to serve you and your company, you probably actually need 10, maybe one. One's a little hard, but 5 to 10. Right now, what everybody should be doing is taking advantage of the subsidization on your GPUs that all these big model companies are doing. They're not going to be able to do it forever. But in the meantime, you should do everything you can to use their GPUs at the discounted rates they're giving them to you to learn. Because eventually that carousel is going to stop, and they're going to start charging what it really costs. At that point, you go, oh, that's cool. I can just redeploy another model over here, and I don't need to spend that money. So think of it right now as you're being all given the opportunity to train on, going to subsidize your education on all these GPU hours that are running. But eventually, there's going to be and you can do it now as well, because lots of hardware companies, in fact, NVIDIA right now is very concerned about just selling to 10 hyperscalers, 10 large cloud providers. They don't really want to have a customer base of only 10, where every one of those 10 is trying to replace their hardware. That's just NVIDIA. Meanwhile, AMD is building better chips, and actually their GPUs are just as capable, if not as easy to program yet, because the software infrastructure still needs to be better. Sometimes I go to universities and I talk to people, they're like, oh, I wish I was, born when you were, and you could make some fun little contribution and do something cool. I really shake my head and I kind of laugh. Like, you don't realize how much there is to create right now. There is so much opportunity to build. There's so much opportunity to do something that's foundational, and it's never been easier, actually. Now, there's a bit of luck. There's a bit of, I think, honestly, my advice is to kind of do what you do in Davos. There's this notion of serendipity, and there's a serendipity culture where if you basically just follow what you think is the most important thing to do. You follow the connections you have, you do what matters to you, you think, oh, I have this opportunity, you do it. Just be authentic, be real. That's what leads to productivity, that's what leads you to do things that matter. And then pay attention, take advantage of opportunities that arise. So the reason, Gary and I met each other about 8 months ago, maybe, kind of by happenstance, serendipity again. He came to an event, and I saw him over there and said, I don't know him, and let me go talk. And we started to talk and realized there's a lot in common, a lot of things we see things in similar ways. And then over the past 8 months of getting to know each other, then kind of realizing these needs that exist. So I'm really excited that we got to a point where some of the things I'm doing in business can actually start to try to kick off this movement I think needs to exist. And it needs to exist all over the world. Everybody wants it. There's like every single city in Europe is looking for this kind of activity to help them jumpstart their needs for businesses to understand what to do in order to apply the transformative capability that AI can provide. Now, why do I think it can provide a transformative capability? Because it makes computing accessible, fundamentally. That's why. It's the reason the transformation is because right now there's a tiny percentage of people that really know how to use computers well. And those people, and it really is tiny, and those people have done amazing things. Now, what happens if people who have more domain knowledge, they're rocket scientists and know about the things they know about, they don't really know how to, make the computer work. I saw a trend in more people being able to use the computer with Python. Part of the reason I came to Python, part of the reason Python became dominant, not because it's the best language in the world, not because of all the things you care about, but because it's kind of executable English. Because it wasn't, come learn a bunch of archaic computer science concepts and then you can program. It's, here's a bunch of libraries, here's some straightforward syntax, you can keep your domain knowledge in your head and still get something done. Well, natural language programming just blew the lid off of that opportunity. Not that Python won't be relevant, but some of the reason people came to Python is not relevant anymore. Because you can actually and we see people blogging about that now, you can just write, you can draw pictures, you can say things, you can actually say, what do I want to do? Now, it still means you have to say what you want to do. You just have to think about the problem you're trying to solve. You have to put some work into it, and actually put some empathy into it. And that's the amazing thing, is to actually serve people. People ask me, why aren't you worried about AI taking away jobs? And I'm like, as long as there are people, you have wants and needs, right? I have wants and needs. As long as there are people with wants and needs, there's going to be jobs to provide those wants and needs to people. The challenge will be, and there will be a challenge, in the disruption of who provides those wants and needs. I'm not saying that won't be a challenge. That's part of the reason I'm excited about this movement, to kind of help get more people aware of the skills they can apply to serving the wants and needs of everyone around them. Because there will be, and that's one of the reasons I got into entrepreneurship. And I came late because I was a scientist, knew nothing about business. But I got into entrepreneurship and started companies because I saw the value of serving people. And to serve people, you have to provide them something they want, and to know they want it, they either buy it or spend their time on it. I mean, there's different ways you can know somebody wants something. But eventually, people have to, money changes hands so it can scale. Without money changing hands, it doesn't scale. That was a principle that I kind of intellectually learned and realized, wow, everyone needs to understand that, because it's great to serve each other with in voluntary ways. Love that. It's all awesome, but it doesn't scale very well. It doesn't scale past several hundred, several thousand people. To scale to billions of people, you need to involve some kind of trading instrument. So the opportunity to create companies has never been bigger. That's what gets me excited. Many people are familiar with some of the things I've done. I was a scientist. I wrote code that I needed, shared it with the world. A lot of people started to use it. I got excited about helping others do that with me. Nothing I've ever done is done alone. There's an old adage: if you want to go, fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Totally true. Totally true. Some of the things that we've created over the years, me and the association of people that have put together, is because we got together. I think right now you can do both. You can go fast with AI, and you go far as you get together. And that's kind of what I see the mission of the Applied AI Society is to do. Kind of be a place people can go together even as they're going fast alone. Come together, share ideas. If you're a business owner, a lot of small businesses can take advantage of AI right now, but they don't know quite where to go. And as you're doing it, you got to pay attention to, okay, does this increase my security surface? Am I actually growing a dependency on a particular cloud vendor that's right now subsidizing my usage, and they're going to flip it off? There's a lot of businesses right now that, you build a business, cool, and let's say OpenAI changes their terms of service, that business goes away because they take it over. That has happened before. Facebook did that with their communities. I'm not saying OpenAI is going to do that, but the risk is there. Amazon's done that. The risk is there. But as long as you're serving your customer base, the opportunity is going to be there. So maybe we can have some, if there's questions or stuff you want to know. I'm just really excited about this. My vision for this, and the reason we're sponsors at OpenTeams and the Open Technology Incubator, is we want to see this in 1,000 cities. I want to see 1 million people who are essentially empowered to serve the other billion in the world.
So speaking of around the world, got a good question about recently you have shared that you're starting work in Nigeria. I know it's not just Nigeria. How can AI be applied to an entire country's economy in a meaningful and safe way?
It's a great question. So obviously it takes time. Obviously it's not overnight. There's no magic bullet. I was actually quite impressed by how quickly the foreign minister of Nigeria spread that information. Actually, the people of Nigeria picked up on that and said, whoa. One of the things I've been very concerned about over the past 5 years, because I've been doing work in the emerging economies with students, when I saw AI, I worried about, we train a lot of people in computer science with jobs that AI is taking. And so actually the jobs that are harder to come by are the intern jobs, the jobs where you'd kind of be there and the expert would guide you. And now they're like, it's so much of a pain to train somebody, and the AI will just do it for me. Those jobs disappear. So I started to think, what could we do to actually interact with people in Africa? Maybe use AI to help them come up to speed with open source. Use open source technologies, open source projects as a way to contribute, as a way to train, as a way to get into it. So that was what prompted this program we call Posse, that works with people in emerging economies, frontier economies, to give them skills. That's part of why we went and talked to the Nigerian foreign minister, was some of the experiences there. And then the other part is because at OpenTeams, what we do is we see the potential for everybody to have their own intelligence hub. You can use the frontier models for their public cloud models. That's fine. We're not saying you can't. But we give you the option to make sure that the data you want to go public, you can. The data you want to stay private stays private, and you can actually get models as they emerge and use them entirely. So you have your own intelligence hub. Especially when it comes to a country like Nigeria, all the African continent, there's a massive potential for what I call AI colonialism, effectively. The big data set, the big hyperscalers want to go over there and pull the data from Africa into their servers, and then the intelligence into their servers. And effectively, if you control the intelligence of the whole country, that's sort of the essence, the data and the essence of people. So how do you do it? Education, sovereign AI. You help. So what we're talking about doing, this will probably take literally 9 months to get going. These things are, first foreign minister generates support from the people, then the government has to pass a budget, and then you have to find the building, you have to get the data providers, and this stuff takes time. But I was really pleased with the meeting and how excited they were to get started, and they're hungry for this.
And you're having great meetings with
several
with
countries,
governments all over the world, right?
Yes, Philippines, Nigeria, Congo, Tanzania, literally they're all Papua New Guinea. They're all interested. Now, there's not enough computer chips to support them all at the same time, right? So there's a part of it is training, providing them tools. Our ideal is to provide a country, get them to build a sovereign LLM that can form the foundation, or several that can form the foundation of an applied economy in their location. So this principle of having models everywhere, not trying to compete with XAI or OpenAI. They're good examples. I think they're doing awesome work to show us what's possible. Because a lot of times just knowing what's possible means you can reproduce it. Yeah. And so it's great. And basically that's happening. People are reproducing it. You can take an open source model, doesn't even have to be necessarily that big, and you can start applying it across the country. So you do it slowly, you do it by training, you do it by having a business model like OpenTeams where we build and then you own it. So we build you an AI system, you own it. It's actually very much the business you're doing. It's just the same, but we actually, part of OpenTeams is we have a network of people that can build those businesses. So we're a connection company, and then a way to provide that maintenance. Because the question that came last was interesting. What about the maintenance and support? The other thing we do is provide financing, because sometimes people can't pay for it up front. So a lot of times people will use a subscription because they essentially pay it out over time. But if you just finance somebody's build, you get the same benefit. They still own it. There's still a maintenance you can provide, and then there's financing as well. So combining all those things is what we are doing at OpenTeams, these countries. Now, it's ambitious, and I recognize it's ambitious. But, what's the use of having a company or trying to build something that's not really trying to change people, trying to change the situation people are in? And that's the only thing money's good for anyway, is like serving people and making other people happier.
Cool. We have a question about, to become an entrepreneur, how did you learn business?
Have I learned business yet? Who works with me? A lot of iteration, right? Basically, a desire and then tiny micro failures. I think one of the things education doesn't teach well in our society is the criticality of micro failures. Actually, you need to fail. If you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You look at building muscle, which I need to do more of. You're basically tearing your muscle down. You're having little micro failures, then it builds back up. Lots of things in life are like that, including building business. So little micro failures, but constantly adjusting course. I would say, I did get a degree, but it was a PhD in biomedical imaging, and I knew nothing about business. And I taught electrical engineering. I knew nothing about business. And then I went and did business here in Austin, past 18 years. I got my butt kicked, basically, over and over again. And kind of being willing to get up after you've been pushed down and just being, having a vision. I would say if you're going to go into business, you have to, what you said is perfect. It's like, I love it. I love doing it. That's the thing that drives you, is the desire and the interest. If you don't have it, don't do a business on it. Right? Businesses are not a great way to get rich quick. If you want to get rich quick, go invest in crypto or something. Yeah, go. Well, actually, while I was in Europe, I got tagged heavily by this new Bags.fm. Anybody heard this thing? Bags.fm, I guess they have these meme tokens. And somebody built a NumPy token. And they were like DMing me hard on Twitter and finally texting me going, you got to claim this token. It's amazing. If the transaction fees can go to you as the creator. I'm like, wait, what is it? What are we even talking about here? I finally figured out, what you want me to do is promote your pump and dump scheme, right? So you want me to promote a gambling enterprise to a bunch of, young addicts who are essentially believing that because it's popular, that'll rise quickly. It might Dogecoin it. No. Fortunately, NumPy is owned by NumFocus because I donated to NumFocus actually years ago. So I could just turn them to NumFocus, and NumFocus pulled the plug pretty quickly. Institutionalized stuff. I mean, for better or for worse, institutions can be good, but they can also be slow. And that's one of the also challenges of business is enough institution to get you support so you're not alone, but not so much that it just becomes an end to itself. Several challenges. I could talk a lot about business. Actually, anybody here, I think there's massive businesses to create. If you're curious, I wish I had more help when I was younger. I wish I knew who to talk to. I didn't know who to, or didn't know how to get advice, and I should have. If anybody here is trying to build a business, it's lonely, it's hard, you wonder how it's working. I don't know everything, but I'm happy to share my mistakes and let you make different ones.
Cool. We have another question about business. With an extensive background in research, how much of a role did it play in helping you start a business? Do you think research is vital in finding new ways to apply AI to solve problems?
Yeah, great question. I would say resilience is probably the only thing research did to help me with business. Just the fact research is also hard, and you're not always right, and you have to kind of try again. So the resilience, the grit, the persistence, the patience, the focus on something that's hard for a long time, that's correlated. So research is always important, but what kind of research? Right, the most important kind of research is figuring out what people want, right? So go talk to people. You probably already have, everyone here has talked to people. Like the people you already talked to, what do they want? What might they be interested in? And then that's the most important research for doing a business is actually figuring out what people will want and then trying to give it to them and then seeing how that goes. And then iterating from there. Massive iteration on that fundamental conversation. So I think there is opportunity for research to apply for fundamental AI. To apply AI, man, it's mostly assimilation of information. Like that, there's a lot of stuff out there. And
Say more about that.
yeah,
I like lawyers.
there is so. I mean, you must see this. Like there is so much out there. It's hard to keep up. Actually, it's hard for everybody. Like there's nobody out there that's gonna got it. No problem. I figured it all out. Right? It's just coming at you so quickly. It can be a little. It can actually create a little bit of paralysis. He's like, oh, I don't know enough. Oh, just if I read a little more. And someone like me who's an academic, challenging. It's like, oh, I just need to read another paper. I need to try something else.
There's just so many more ways to procrastinate today productively, right?
Yes.
And that just made me think that like community of people making making money applying AI, and can tell you how they made money applying AI. The stack that they used is such a great tiebreaker to break the paralysis, because you may get stuck researching one part of the stack for like days, and like that opportunity flew by you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the critical piece. I'm glad you brought it up, because it is the coming together to get feedback. AI is great. It is. It's fun. You can talk to AI, but you can go into psychosis talking to AI, because AI is a great storyteller, and it'll tell you the psychosis you're in and just carry that story to infinitum. Like I've been to people who have said, oh, look, the AI is awake. Look what it does. It says I can go to the back door here. And I just start reading their prompts. I go, well, this is a wonderful story you've told the AI. And it's just finishing it for you. It's amazing. I mean, it's really good. Yeah. It's a good, and then we have serious situations where people actually have psychosis. So my rule is, sure, use AI, but go get checks from real other people regularly, right? At least every day, at least every other day. Otherwise, you can end up believing your own juice too far, and not getting feedback from other people, which you definitely need. So it's a perfect example of why something like the Applied AI Society is so critical.
Believing your own juice?
Yeah, sorry.
Wow, look at that. Look at this question.
Serious? You did this. No.
What if the AI was that fast at listening to you and creating a question, huh?
Aha moment. Give us Davos has so much juice. Wow, yeah. There are a cacophony of opinions, right? I mean, effectively, that you don't understand Davos. You just kind of realize that the world's a big place, and there are some outside voices that get more attention than they deserve. But then we also deal with that, right? Aha moment was just how much opportunity there is. Right, it is a big place, but then this is how much money there is that's looking for answers, and just how weak the answers they're getting are right now, like just fundamentally weak. Last year at Davos, the AI was terrible. There was so much bad AI philosophy there that it was almost embarrassing. Like it was an HR company that had decided to build a system for the new digital worker. But you're a human resources company trying to make sure you're providing services for a digital worker that is only approximately doesn't exist yet. Like, terrible idea, right? And you're just like, what? Where did that? Oh, that idea came from the last Davos. Okay, great. So actually, sometimes the aha moment was you can be in your bubble, and that's what happens there too. People are in their bubble, and you have to get out and see more of other people's bubbles. Just how much isn't there? Like, actually, part of my aha moment at Davos was the things I did after that, the people I met, the things they pulled me into, and then following their conversations and what that led to, realizing just how Europe's feeling weak right now, right? That's an aha moment. Even though they shouldn't, like collectively they're bigger than the United States. But they've had the past 60 years of being kind of a vassal state, right? And so that's led to their aha moment of we've got to actually regain our sovereignty, and they can. And I think, so that's one, too. Everyone wants to live longer. Longevity's everywhere. And I guess the other one is space economy is starting to become real. So I don't know if anybody here is looking at going at space. Yeah. I mean, several people are. There's a guy that's doing gas stations in space. Not really, not actually serving gas, but the metaphor of having refuelable places for stuff to stay up there. I actually wonder, have we figured out, I've thought about that a little bit, but maybe other people here know, Like, how do we, like, who decides what goes up there? Like, right now it seems like it's a bit of a, bit of a free economy. But that's not going to last forever. So, yeah, it's also cold. So, yeah. Yeah. So, the shoes I'm wearing, the other aha moment is bring shoes you can walk in comfortably. And it's okay if you look weird.
All right, we have a few more questions. I'm so glad you're using this, by the way. Thank you for using this. What do you see are the new businesses moats? Is it data, models, infrastructure, something else?
Yeah, good question. So data will be, actually, I think, and by data I don't mean like it's all the data. It's your customer contacts, it's your connections, it's your awareness. Data will be ultimately, I think, where a lot of people trade in, as the intelligence hubs are. The models can be data, and you can have a model that's data, and that will be part of it. But very quickly, the big models are becoming more commodities. I think the biggest moat is your relationships, is the trust, actually, the brand. And because humans are this way, like the biggest moats are the things that doesn't change about humans and the way they buy. This is one of the lessons learned as a business owner that is hard, actually. The lesson is people do what they're used to doing, and people are used to not spending money on you. That's what they're used to doing, that's what they'll keep doing. So you have to do some unnatural acts to get them to do something. Then that flips into the gear of once they're doing that, then they're kind of used to doing that. How many of you have subscriptions you forgot about or still paying, right? Every time my daughter comes home, she likes to rummage through our credit cards and tell us how stupid we are for having 10 subscriptions that we shouldn't have. Or sometimes my wife and I'll have the same subscription, purchased separately. It's that habit, the habit. So I think, but I'm a big believer in relationships. That's why our business model is actually built on relationships and trust. So brands, why do people buy IBM? Why do people buy Microsoft? IBM doesn't have the latest technology, but they have massive trust in enterprise. So the good news is the world is massive, and you don't have to have massive trust in enterprise to sell to somebody. There's literally millions of companies out there that need your help. And so you can do a business of one. If you don't know how to start that, let me know, right? You can do a business of 4. Like you do a small business. The one thing I do know a lot about is the consulting business. And then I know something about product businesses and SaaS businesses. But I think the traditional software as a service is going to disappear. I don't think it's going to be it's not going to go quickly, first of all. It's not going to disappear in 2 years. I think it's going to take 10 years. But eventually, people have intelligence hubs. They actually are able to build the solutions that continue, the solutions as a service or the service as software that will exist, will actually have to plug into people's data instead of constantly be trying to pull the data to them. Think about I think about our business at OpenTeams. Our goal is in 3 years to be off of everything that isn't a service where our data is our own data, and it's not being slowly sucked up into somebody else's data. So, anyway.
On the note of intelligence hubs, I just want to point out to people that you've probably seen this as small scale N of 1, where there's an individual that when you organize the context for your AI, you can get better results out of that, right? And so a lot of what Travis is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is if an organization or even a country's government is much better at organizing its know-how, all the skills files or the next skills files, all of their standard operating processes, so that they can continually be just applying AI models, et cetera, to the tribal knowledge that they have, right? To better serve their constituents and customers.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're locked into ChatGPT's projects paradigm, but ChatGPT is trying to actually innovate on their business model to then be able to to compete with Navari.
Yes. So I think there's a very big contrast happening right now. There's like the vertically integrated AIs that are trying to dominate, and then there's what I think will eventually win is the horizontally decentralized intelligence hubs. I don't think it's going to be an easy transition, but just given the sheer numbers and the sheer need, last year at Davos, everyone was pushing agentic AI, and I hated it. The reason is because I really value people. I really value humans. And the thing I value about humans is the soul, their ability to choose, their agency. Like, it's an amazing thing, actually, that every one of you here in this room, everyone on the planet is a unique, intelligent agent that is having an experience unlike anybody else's that's ever existed, right? You have a combination of DNA and experiences that is not replicated, that is not be replicated. And we're exploring together this high-dimensional space of reality that we don't really know what it is. And so as long as, basically that's the most beautiful thing, is to exchange with somebody else something they're experiencing authentically that you then learn from. It's beautiful. And I see that artificial intelligence can help us communicate that better. That's the fundamental thing already the models can do. It's help us communicate those experiences with each other more effectively. Because that's where a lot of it breaks down. We actually don't communicate very well to each other our authentic experiences because we're afraid, because we only know ours, we don't know what words they're using. You see this in across ecosystems and cultures. But I think it can absolutely help us. This year I got comfortable with the word agentic AI because I realized, to me, agentic AI is AI that helps your agency. So when I say agentic AI, no, if you ever hear me say it, it's because I'm thinking, oh, this is a system that actually promotes human agency, humans' ability to be free, to choose, to share, to grow, and to enrich their lives. I think AI is going to fundamentally transform and hopefully get to us a world. I'm not naive. This is not going to be easy. And I've actually spent some time in Europe talking to people that know very much about the how money works and the central banking systems. It's not going to be easy, but I actually, if we have a hope of distributing ownership, reclaiming so that we don't end up living as serfs on the virtual land that somebody else owns, that we actually do reclaim our ownership, which ultimately leads to prosperity. A society's prosperity is directly tied to the number of owners that exist in that society. And ownership requires effort. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And it actually is how we create wealth for as many people as possible. So I'm excited by that. I think that's available to all of us. I think everybody here is like a pioneer in that space because you're here, you're interested. You're thinking, how do I do this? Whether it's your own company or in the company you work at. Like, not everybody has to be a person of one. I'm not saying that. Those who want to be, totally fine. But we all like working together, actually. Most of us do. Most of us like being in teams. And that's fine. It's totally fine. You can be in teams. It should be in teams to go together. But AI can help us get there. So I'm excited to learn. I think we just started. I'm excited to learn what other people do. I was super excited to see what you were working on. And everybody, I go on social media, YouTube primarily these days, just watching people learn and develop. And then reading papers, using AI to help me facilitate which papers I want to read next. Y'all talked about Moltbot, right? Claudebot, that all happened while I was in Europe, right? In fact, I was on a panel with a VC who he didn't really realize who I was, and he did. And he was like, oh, I got to talk to you. And then it turns out his friend was the one that built Claudebot. And so he was chatting with him about, like, right then. And but the thing I think that's most important to understand about that person is he was solving a problem for himself. And he just shared it. And that's the most authentic thing to do. A lot of people who do open source 2 years ago, I watched a lot of libraries get pushed where people were not solving a problem they had, they were solving a problem they think you might have. And that's a way to produce open source slop, actually.
And 100%. And let me tell y'all, like, I've been helping friends with their businesses applying AI, and it is one thing to build something for yourself. It's another thing to see the joy on your friend's face when they can free up their time to do more of the soul requiring work.
I love that phrase.
Right? because there's a lot of drudgery stuff that you and we talked about this as well, that, and I do want to help you, right, do less of the drudgery stuff. I think a lot of us want to help you with that, and so to be able to serve others and to be able to be paid for that, and then show that open source software can be a tool for democratizing prosperity in so many ways, because that's what you're building, and that's how you're able to build a solution in a few days and then iterate on it.
Absolutely.
With, like Rostam says, right?
So you can also do open source to solve a problem you have or a problem that you empathize closely with somebody who has it. Like, I'm not saying that only has to be a problem you have. Like, there is such a thing as listening to others, empathizing with them, making it your own. In fact, that's what empathy means, make it your own and then solve the problem as if it were yours. That also works, Yeah, fantastic.
Any final thoughts for probably a lot of people that are wanting to start on this sort of career path, maybe radically upskilling, getting uncomfortable, like throwing away old processes. Just like, I think 2026 is going to be a really transformative,
I think it can be
rebirthing year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Any final words before we let people?
Don't throw away what you already have. Like, what you have is important. The knowledge you have, the experience you have, the relationship you have, those are going to set you off. Just add to it and realize that there is so much more opportunity to actually significantly upskill, help, serve. We're still at the early stages. There's going to be mistakes made. You know, Cloudbot gets released. They convert, name it wrong. We're to Moltbot. It's insecure. I mean, there are issues, right? But the relationships you keep will help you solve those issues. And in some sense, what he did with Moltbot is just like, here it is. Like, here's what it does for me. I mean, if it solves a problem for you, great. And then if you have more problems, then solve those. And then go from there. Take what you have, get out there and realize there are, like, what people want as demos, examples that solve their problem. And today, you can do that so much more easily. It used to be that would take a month of work to show a demo. Now you can literally do it in an afternoon or 2 or 3 hours. And once you show people that, then they get excited, and now you have a connection. And that could be a job. It could be just in your own company. It could be with somebody down the hall. It could be with your family. It could be, there's any number of relationships you can enhance. I'm not telling everybody to go quit your jobs and go start a consultancy. I would not recommend that, actually. But if you are interested in starting a consultancy, you can. You have people to help you do that. I would definitely recommend you go and try something in your department, and then remember that data is important. And remember that your data you're using is going to be the thing that the things you own is your data. Don't just give that away freely because it's convenient. There's a lot of money trying to get you to give your data away. Some of it you're fine with, that's fine. Make that trade-off, but think about it and make sure you're preserving the thing you care about. And there's open source models out there you can use, and they're getting better and better.
Well, Travis, I just want to say thank you so much for your contributions to humanity. I mean, I think that the state of the Python data science AI community, and we know that everyone uses NumPy to train their models.
Slightly, it's PyTorch now, but it's okay. PyTorch depends on NumPy a little bit.
And you were one of a top contributor at one point, and so ironically, you helped birth a lot of things that then birthed the thing that may be making it more obsolete, or not the first thing that the new developers think about. But that just it's such a cool thing that it cascaded into this thriving ecosystem where we can now talk about a higher order of abstraction AI, where it's about the business problems, the government problems, et cetera, that we can now solve. So it's an honor to be able to launch this community with you. And can we just give Travis another round of applause?
Thank you.
All right, so I think we want to be respectful to our wonderful venue host, Antler.